Hey everyone. I wrote a few words about the Great Conjunction that's happening on this Monday, December 21st, 2020, and I thought it would be a good idea, and I still think it would be a good idea to record a few words about the Great Conjunction on video because some people don't read. Everyone has their own way of going through life. Some people prefer videos. So let's get into it. Every year on December 21st, the shortest day of the year, we celebrate the winter solstice, which is the first day of winter. In 2020, however, in addition to the winter solstice, we are also celebrating Jupiter joining together with Saturn at the same degree of the same sign. These two slow-moving planets only conjoin once every 20 years, give or take a few months. And this is called the Great Conjunction. The last time we experienced a Great Conjunction was in the year 2000, toward the tail end of May. 20 years ago, Jupiter and Saturn met up in Taurus. But this time, in 2020, they will get together in Aquarius. So this year, the Great Conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn is in Aquarius. Everyone will experience this Great Conjunction, but Aquarius identifying people who identify as Aquarius, whether it's Sun, Moon, Rising, or whatever, these Aquarius people will be most affected by this Great Conjunction, followed to a lesser degree by Leo people and then Scorpio and Taurus people. So there's a lot of buzz about what the Great Conjunction signifies, from the astronomers who are excited to get a bird's eye view of the celestial rarity, because this is a very rare event and we can actually see it with our eyes. Um, and you can see it even better with a telescope, of course. Even the meme aficionados of Twitter are wondering why Black people's superpowers will be activated on December 21st. So even they know a little bit about the Great Conjunction. Students and practitioners of astrology are perhaps most excited to see what life-altering events, both on a macrocosmic and microcosmic level, will have to coincide with this alignment of Jupiter and Saturn. So we're going to focus on that part, the astrology of it. So to have some idea of what's going on astrologically with this Great Conjunction, it is important first to have a clear concept of these two planetary bodies, Jupiter and Saturn. So let's get into that. So there are 7 classical planets in astrology, and we call them classical because before telescopes, they were the only planets that were visible to the naked eye. 2 of those 7 classical visible planets are not technically planets, like astronomically, they're not planets, but in astrology, we do refer to them as planets. And to kind of differentiate them, we give them the special title of luminaries because they are the light givers out of all the planets. So, of course, that is the sun and the moon. So, after the sun and the moon, we have 5 classical visible planets left. And out of those 5 planets, Jupiter is the second farthest from the center, from the sun, or from us. Uh, so it takes longer than most of the other planets to transit all 12 signs of the zodiac. It takes about 12 years for Jupiter to make a full trip around the sun, around all the zodiac. Um, but perhaps more importantly, Jupiter is the largest planet, period, in the solar system, period. So because of Jupiter's large size, astrological Jupiter represents growth, expansion, and abundance. Jupiter is known as the greater benefic planet because in astrology, Jupiter's big presence signifies benefits generosity, and blessed gains, and all types of other really welcome, favorable stuff. Last time Jupiter was in Aquarius was January 5th, 2009, all the way until the next year, January 17th, 2020. So we can look back to that time to get an idea of maybe what themes will arise with Jupiter in Aquarius again. So again, Jupiter is the greater benefic planet, so it brings blessings and benefits to wherever it goes. Usually, every planet has a dark side. Jupiter's dark side would be exaggeration and overestimation and spreading yourself too thin. Um, so Jupiter in Aquarius, Aquarians are benefiting from Jupiter in the sign. Uh, Saturn, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is even farther out in space than Jupiter is. In fact, out of all the visible planets, the classical planets in the solar system, Saturn is the farthest. And it is also the coldest because it's the farthest from the sun. So Saturn takes the longest of all the visible classical planets to transit the entire zodiac. It actually takes 29 years for Saturn to complete its cycle. So it takes a really long time. So because of Saturn's position at the outer limits, right on the edge of what is known and unknown, Saturn represents restraint, concentration, and denial. So whereas Jupiter with all of its largeness is like more, 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 Saturn is like, look, I am the boundary because I'm the furthest that you can go, the farthest that you can see. So this is it. What you got within the limits, that's it. That restraint, that Saturn, that limitation. Saturn is known as the greater malefic planet in astrology because of its liminal qualities. Liminal meaning straddling the line. Saturn straddles the line between what's inside of Saturn and what lies beyond Saturn, the planets that we discovered once technology provided us with the telescope. So because of Saturn's liminal position on the boundary of that pre-technology and post-technology, Saturn signifies boundaries, restrictions, and strict limitation. So Saturn can be quite a challenging force in astrology and symbolically. So wherever Saturn goes, it kind of brings like a heaviness or just the sobriety that comes along with knowing your limits, whether it's the limits of your physical body, the limits of your goals and your objectives when you have to be realistic about what you're working with. So Saturn moving into Aquarius kind of brings a heaviness to Aquarius as opposed to Jupiter's sort of expansive bigness. So Aquarius people, again, whether you're sun, moon, rising, or otherwise, if you identify as an Aquarius, you have uh, both of these experiences of Jupiter's encouragement and Saturn's uh, tough love, if you'd like to call it that. Uh, Although Saturn does rule Aquarius, so Saturn being in Aquarius is not the worst thing because Aquarius people, Saturn kind of likes to be in Aquarius. Saturn also rules Capricorn, but right now Saturn's in Aquarius, so let's focus on that. Saturn likes to be in Aquarius. So Aquarius, you can handle a bit of Saturnian heaviness or pressure, if you like to call it that. The last time Saturn was in Aquarius was February 6, 1991 until May 21st, 1993. And then because Saturn entered the next sign, but then Saturn went retrograde back into Aquarius from June 30th, 1993, and then it stationed direct and it started moving forward again and finished up Aquarius for good on January 28th, 1994. So we have not experienced Saturn in Aquarius since it left Aquarius on January 28th, 1994. So if you think back to those times when Saturn was last in Aquarius back in the early 90s, that might give you some idea of what to expect. If you were alive back then, there's so many new students of astrology who were not alive back then or who were very young, like me, back then in the early 90s. So if Jupiter is the planet that says yes, then Saturn is the planet that says no. or sometimes not yet. That's the thing people don't realize. It's not always no. Sometimes it's not yet, but sometimes it is no. Because no is not a bad word. No can be a good word. These two planets probably seem like each other's antithesis, almost as if one planet might cancel the other planet out when they come together. But I prefer to think of this great conjunction as the perfect blend of freedom, represented by Jupiter, just this big, expansive, abundant sense of freedom and development and growth, and Saturn's control, Saturn's concentration, Saturn's uh, boundaries that kind of give you a definite space to work within, the control of Saturn. So I think of it as the perfect blend of freedom and control. For you, the great conjunction might look like a well-designed structure that is being built, which is Saturn, that has the auspicious potential to grow and become better, Jupiter, at a sustainable pace that is conducive to longevity, Saturn. So I'll read that again. For you, the great conjunction might look like a well-designed structure being built that has the auspicious potential to grow and to become better at a sustainable pace that is conducive to longevity. For you, the great conjunction might look like a well-defined system that is being put in place by Saturn that has the potential to be uplifting in the most comprehensive way by Jupiter. Maybe this great conjunction for you looks like the crystallization of a favorable new philosophy, or maybe it looks like the joyous reward that you gain as a result of discipline, sacrifice, and a delayed gratification. Whatever your great conjunction experience is, because it can look like anything. Everybody's natal chart is different. Everybody's born with a different energy and a different karma and a different life purpose, and etc., etc. So it's going to look different for everybody. But regardless of what it looks like and what your experience of this great conjunction is, you have the opportunity to take your current circumstance, no matter how challenging, and make it benefit you for the next 20 years or more. The gods support good form, focus on that. Because this marriage of Jupiter and Saturn is in Aquarius, the water bearer, the themes of this sign are relevant to this 20-year cycle that is beginning in alignment with the Great Conjunction. So, what is Aquarius? Let's talk a little bit about Aquarius. Aquarius is the fixed air sign of the zodiac, and it is symbolized by the water bearer. The archetype of the water bearer brings to mind the cup bearers of antiquity back in the day. These cup bearers were chosen and privileged to live in the castle and keep the cups of the royal court full during feasts, like the myth of Zeus's cupbearer Ganymede, or more relatably, the modern day bartender. One way the cupbearer earned the trust of his royal superiors was by taking the first sip of the drink before serving it. The water bearer indicates positions of social advantage that are bestowed upon specially selected and highly trusted candidates. And Aquarius types are more likely to be assigned noble roles of honor and influence that allow them to access elite tiers that would otherwise be off limits. So Aquarius people can often be like the regular average person, the commoner, if you will, who gets snatched up by some elite power who sees something special in the Aquarius person. So that often plays into the lives of Aquarius people. Even, for example, Oprah, who's a famous Aquarius, who, because of her education or her intellectual aspirations and in her drive and that special quality she had, uh, the go-getter in her, she was given opportunities and ascended to a certain level where she was able to sort of provide this wealth of information for her demographic, pouring out this water just like the water bearer does, because she was sort of put herself in a position to be chosen and elevated. So that's definitely an Aquarius thing. Because the water bearer is ruled by Saturn, the greater malefic planet of clearly defined limitations, that's what Saturn rules. Aquarius signifies boundaries, just like the other Saturn ruled sign Capricorn. But what makes the difference is idealistic Aquarius represents the reform of or the emancipation from a system of rigid, unfit restrictions in favor of a more progressive order. As one of the few signs symbolized by a human, Aquarius gives voice to the outsiders looking in. Very humanitarian sign. The sign of Aquarius is a cosmic reminder that all it takes is one altruistic individual with a large enough platform and a powerful enough audience to advocate for an unsung humanitarian cause and shift the paradigm in the direction of utopia. Especially in this ultra connected age of social media, anything can happen on social media. You can connect to all different types of people. The network is just so much more expansive universally for everyone. You get information like this. It's, it's electric. Social networking is a signification of the air element. Remember, Aquarius is an air sign, it's not a water sign. Aquarius pours the water, it is not the water, it's an air sign. It represents people and ideas. So, social networking is the signification of the air element when the air element manifests as Aquarius, because there are other air signs and they all kind of represent different nuanced aspects of the air element. So, Aquarius air is social networking. The lives of Aquarius types are characterized by interests and ideas that are more universal than individual. Because Aquarius's air is fixed, as opposed to Gemini's mutable air or Libra's cardinal air, Aquarius is fixed air, and because Aquarius's air is fixed, the water bearer is so immersed in the collective stream of consciousness that Aquarius types might actually seem aloof or antisocial when they are forced out of their heads and into intimate physical or emotional interactions. Aquarius is so fixed on its own thoughts and on the thoughts that are just circulating universally that when people are like, hey, engage with me one on one, pay attention to me, Aquarius is like, wait a minute, why are you like bringing me out of my head, out of my like mental sanctuary? Okay, let me talk to the humans. Hi, how are you? So Aquarius one on one is very interesting. It's the sign of people, but when it has to engage one on one, it's like, oh, okay, I mean, I like the idea of this, but I have other things to focus on, says the Aquarius. The more Aquarius types are required to engage one on one, the less time they have to devote to brainstorming and uh, coming up with ideas to innovate ways to advance humankind, because that's where their mind is. It's on the future, it's on progress, it's on advancement. So it's like, oh, when they have to engage one on one, they feel like they could be doing so much other good things, so many other good things, but they power through nonetheless. Uh, so Aquarius, because of this, they much prefer to engage with large groups of people, preferably people who share some sort of commonality, like people who you meet in a club, in a membership, in some sort of alliance, something like that. And they prefer large groups of people because in a large group, the Aquarius person has the freedom to disconnect from these one-on-one interactions, because the people they're interacting with can go talk to other people. So Aquarius, when they disconnect, they don't seem rude in large groups of people, and they don't seem cold, and they don't seem disinterested, because when you're in a group, you mix and mingle with the whole group. It's that social networking effect. So Aquarius in a group has the freedom to actually step aside and sort of retreat into its cerebral mindscape without seeming like a nasty person. So that's a few words about Aquarius. So back to Jupiter and Saturn. Um, Jupiter will form its exact conjunction with Saturn on December 21st, 2020 at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can start celebrating their planetary union a couple days early, as soon as Jupiter enters Aquarius on Saturday, December 19th, 2020 at 8:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, as I read this to you, because I'm reading what I wrote back on December 18th, currently it's December 20th at 4:22 p.m. as I say these words. So Jupiter has already moved into Aquarius by now. So we're in the thick of the Great Conjunction. It hasn't reached its climax yet. The climax again is December 21st at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, so in other words, the energy of the Great Conjunction is in effect all weekend, and you will feel it building up, leading up to the climax when it reaches its peak intensity tomorrow on Monday. So I don't know when you're watching this, what day it is, but right now it's Sunday, December 20th, 2020. And tomorrow is the big day when it reaches its peak intensity. So I thought yesterday, actually, which was Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, was the most ideal time to set intentions for the Great Conjunction. But like I said, it's already Sunday. I just wrote this a few days ago. As I record this is Sunday, so that time has passed. But anytime between now and 1:20 tomorrow on the 21st, I think is a good time to set intentions if you want them to be potent and have a long-lasting effect. Um, and also, it's important to go back to the fact that this is the winter solstice too, the day of the winter solstice every year, usually every year because of leap years. Usually it's December 21st is the first day of winter. It's the shortest day of the year. And after that, the daylight starts to increase, building up all the way to the longest day 6 months from now in the summer. In this year, on the winter solstice, on that day, December 21st, we also happen to have a great conjunction. Now, this is what makes it a really big deal, because every year on December 21st, it's the winter solstice. But the great conjunction only happens once every 20 years. And once every 20 years, it does not usually happen on the day of the winter solstice. Last time we had a great conjunction 20 years ago, it was at the end of May. It wasn't even on any like special significant day besides it being the great conjunction. So it wasn't like a double combination of the great conjunction and the winter solstice. So because this great conjunction is happening in alignment with the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, after which the daylight starts to increase, I think this great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn has the power to bring you out of a dark place so that you step into your brilliance. Kind of like a planted seed that emerges from the darkness of the soil to flower, to bloom, and to bear fruit in the light. It's alchemy, turning your lead into gold. That's what I see. So here's a very basic horoscope to give you all an idea of how this is playing out in your lives. Like I said, it affects everyone, but it affects some more than others. I recommend using your rising sign for this quick horoscope. Um, if you don't know your rising sign, your sun sign will do, or whatever sign you identify with most strongly. I can't tell you. So here we go. If you are an Aquarius, like I said, this affects you more than everyone else because this great conjunction is in Aquarius, and Aquarius themes are going to be very relevant during this time, and Aquarius people are very affected during this time. So if you are an Aquarius, this great conjunction will impact your first house. It'll be rising in your chart, so to speak. It'll impact your first house, which represents personal identity, who you are, your health, your body, what you look like, how you present yourself, your style. New beginnings is represented by the first house, and just anything that has to do with yourself and you individually, your life's path. You, it's affecting you. So it's like a kind of like a reinvention or a reconstruction or a reconsideration of who you are in a representation. You're presenting yourself in a brand new way. You, in a way, are Jupiter and Saturn coming together. The embodiment of those planets coming together is you. If you are a Capricorn, this great conjunction will impact your second house of income, ownership, investment, and resources. Your money, your assets, what you own, how you feel about what you own. Like, how do you feel about yourself based on your personal resources, your gifts and your talents? What is your self-esteem? What is your self-worth? Can you do anything to set that on a new track? That is what Saturn and Jupiter, the Great Conjunction, will be doing for you, Capricorn people. If you are a Sagittarius, this Great Conjunction will impact your third house of neighborhood and neighbors, communications, transportation, siblings, relatives, cousins, people who are in your immediate environment, that the life of your immediate environment. You know, when you're running errands, when you're commuting to work and then back home, when you're going to the grocery store. Who do you see? What do they say? What do you say to them? What information is exchanged? What do you experience? Do you have a car? Do you take public transportation? What happens on your short distance travels? What do you learn? What's your basic education, your elementary knowledge? Who speaks the same language as you? How are you communicating? Are you blogging? Are you writing? Are you on social media? Do you like to read? Are you a teacher? Are you a student? All these types of things are third house themes, and that area of your life, Sagittarius, is being affected by the Great Conjunction. If you are a Scorpio, the Great Conjunction will impact your fourth house of home, cultural and ethnic heritage, your private life, and your parents. Anything that happens behind closed doors, in privacy, in secret, below the surface, maybe subconsciously, um, things that have to do with how you were raised and the place that you return to when you retire at the end of the day, when all is said and done. Where do you retreat? Where is your shelter? Uh, what happens there? Who do you allow in? Where do you come from? What are your roots? And what is the foundation of everything that you build? That is the fourth house, and that is what's being affected for Scorpios by this Great Conjunction. So it's not as major of an effect as Aquarius, but it's still major because the fourth house is a very important house down at the bottom of your natal chart. So for Scorpios, that's what's going on. Um, if you are a Libra, this Great Conjunction will impact your fifth house of romance, pleasure, entertainment, and children. So the fifth house is all about fun, enjoying yourself, recreation, leisure, vacations, gambling, taking a risk, having fun and love, the warmth of love, and the joy of your inner child and actual literal children that you have. So that is the area of life being impacted for Libras with this Great Conjunction. If you are a Virgo, the Great Conjunction will impact your sixth house of work, labor, disease, and illness, and service providers of all kinds. So your coworkers, you as an employee, if you're not running your own business, doctors, nurses, people who take care of the sick. So this house doesn't necessarily mean that you will be sick, because I said it's the house of disease and illness, but it might just be dealing with people who are going through some sort of health issue. Or if you are a nurse or a doctor, this could be represented by the work that you do, and just all types of service providers, bartenders, waiters, people, hospitality, people who are working to serve, um, and the people who you work with. If you have coworkers and colleagues, and or if you are a CEO or a boss, the sixth house represents your employees. So all that is being affected for Virgo people with the Great Conjunction. That area of life might have some clues for you to figure out what's going on, or maybe you're starting something in that area of life. If you are a Leo, this Great Conjunction will impact your seventh house of marriage, cooperation, litigation and legal issues, the law, lawyers, and just partners of all kinds, partnerships of all kinds. It could be, again, marriage partners, business partners, close personal best friends, like one-on-one equal level partners, and even rivals, people who are openly in a rivalry with you, if you have that competition, um, just that sort of back and forth, you're on equal playing fields, and having to come outside of yourself and deal with the other. That is the seventh house. So I would say after Aquarius, Leo is going to be the second most affected by this Great Conjunction, because it's dealing with the seventh house. So it's like Aquarius and Leo, this back and forth. But for Leos, this is definitely going to be almost less personal, because it's more so about your partner. So it's personal in the way that your partner affects you, but it's more so something is going on with your partner or other people with this Great Conjunction. So whatever that means for you, be blessed. If you are a Cancer, this Great Conjunction will impact your eighth house of debt, inheritance, losses, and shared resources. The eighth house is all about other people's resources, other people's money, or the resources and money you share with other people. Just things that you inherit, things that are taken away, things that you owe, things that people owe you, type of thing. So Cancer, that's what's going on with you for the Great Conjunction. Um, and you can start things that are related to that area of life if you want them to. If it's something challenging, maybe you can find a way to bless it, and the blessings will just continue to the point where it's not even a challenge anymore. This is a 20-year cycle, remember. That's starting with the Great Conjunction. So if you are a Gemini, this Great Conjunction will impact your ninth house of philosophy, religion, international travel, and foreigners. The ninth house is kind of like a faraway land, whether it's far away mentally when you're in a higher learning academic environment or studying something that takes you out of your immediate environment that's represented by the third house. It takes you to the next level, which is the ninth house. So spirituality, higher education, learning about foreign cultures, traveling to foreign cultures, people who are in high places like kings and queens and gods and mythology and just these larger than life concepts that help you figure out the meaning of life and how you can just figure out the big picture. That's the ninth house. So if you are a Gemini, that's what's going on right now. Maybe you're re-enrolling in college or taking up a course that will take you to the next level, some sort of certification that will give you the expertise and the philosophy behind what you love and what you probably are already good at. Or maybe you're ready to just travel internationally and take some vacations and see the world. So that's the kind of thing that's going on for you, Gemini. If you are a Taurus, this great conjunction will impact your 10th house of career, social status, fame, and authority figures. So the 10th house is the highest part of the chart. So it represents just elevation socially and professionally, being recognized for the work that you do for society, achieving awards and promotions, and being the authority, being the boss. Or maybe it represents the people who are above you, the people who have the power to kind of make or break your career or your public social standing. The 10th house even represents fame because it is so high and so visible by everyone and everything, just a certain prominence. So this is for Taurus, this is important. Maybe not as much as Aquarius and even Leo, but the Great Conjunction is definitely important for you and your 10th house, Taurus people. So make it count. If you are an Aries, this Great Conjunction will impact your 11th house of membership and clubs, benefits, social networking, and friends and friendships. So the 11th house is just like all the benefits you get from the people that you know, just from putting yourself out in the world. The people that you meet and the people who like the work that you're doing might want to help you out. Maybe there's people who are above you who have gifts to give you, benefactors and wealthy patrons who want to support you because they're in a financial position to do so and they like what you're doing. They believe in you. So the 11th house is beliefs and hopes and wishes and what happens when friends and like-minded people come together and just like share their wealth and share their resources and share their ideas and come together. So that's fun. And Jupiter loves to be in the 11th house. So Aries, that's fun for you. Saturn will be there to keep you in check, of course, or maybe you're already in check and Jupiter's just going to come and bless you. So have fun with that, Aries. If you are a Pisces, this great conjunction will impact your 12th house, which isn't the most fun house of self-sabotage, clandestine, hidden experiences, isolation and seclusion, and hidden enemies. And just anything hidden is the 12th house. So again, it's one of the more heavier houses or darker houses or not fun houses. But maybe it's not necessarily you who's self-sabotaging. It could be someone in your life, unfortunately, who's self-sabotaging, but maybe through that challenge you'll figure out a way to move through it. Or maybe you're somebody who works in an institution where most of your time is spent behind closed doors. And for example, 12th house hidden institutions would include jail and prison and hospitals and hospices and places where it's kind of like its own separate reality from the world that's happening outside your window. It's like this place that maybe there's like another reality, other factors at play that is just kind of separate from the regularly functioning world. It's kind of hidden away. So that's the 12th house. So Saturn actually loves to be in the 12th house. It has its joy, its planetary joy in the 12th house. So Saturn here can handle this isolation. It can handle this sort of things happening behind the surface, behind the veil, if you will, and come out on the other side better. So whatever that means for you, Pisces, if you are being secluded or isolated, just take this time to meditate on that and to figure out what you can do in this place where you're away from, where you might be with everyone but feel away from everyone, or feel like nobody sees me, or nobody sees what I'm doing. So maybe that's for a reason. I don't know what's going on for you, but everything for a reason. Just take it and make it work for you, make it benefit you. And that goes for all the 12 signs. Just take it and make it work and benefit you. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I have to say. Um, about the Great Conjunction. I think I've said enough, and hopefully this has been helpful for you, or helped clarify what's going on, this energy that you've been feeling, and helps you to move forward. That's my intention. Move forward in a way that is conducive to your well-being, and for you to optimize this energy. Just optimize the energy, make it work, and make it benefit you. If you enjoyed this video, I will definitely link my Cash App and my Venmo if you like to donate anything. Donations are welcome and greatly appreciated. I appreciate you. I really do this because I just love when people uh, benefit from my insights, because this system of astrology I've been practicing and studying for 10 years, and it just always provides me with revelations that move me forward, um, in a progressive way. And because not everyone is into astrology, or not everyone has the access to good astrology, I just like to share what I think is good, and I love when that helps someone else. That's why I do it. That's the main thing. So I wanted to spread the word about the Great Conjunction to as many people as possible, because I think it's a really special astrological moment, and it's rare. And I know my plan is to optimize it, and I'd like all of you to optimize it as well. You can follow me on social media at Nick's Elixir. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and whatever else. I don't have a Snapchat or anything, but yeah, find me, and let's stay in touch, and let me know how you're enjoying this Great Conjunction and how you plan to optimize it, make it work for you, and benefit you. Be well.